Hello, everyone. Susan Gerbeck from Psychics Explained. So, I have found a box of old VHS tapes. Mark Edward, my partner, who died in August 2024, I'm recording this in April of 2025, had always wanted to convert into, something that we could use and look at. Well, last night I finally uploaded them. I mean, I've been copying them over, but I hadn't really looked at them. And this one, oh my gosh, he never told me about this. Possibly he forgot. He's done a lot of different TV shows and lots of different things. And this is a show he was on. And he's labeled as an animal psychic. So, or animal communicator, animal psychic, I think it shows him as. So now this is recorded probably in the 90s. It's public access. It's a show, and the host, his name is Celeste Mills. And the show is called Brainstorm. I can't find it on the internet. I don't know if it's even exists, if there's copies of this out there anywhere. But apparently Celeste was, I guess, a friend of Mark's. I'm not really sure. She says in the intro that she's a friend of Mark's. And I'll put the video link under this, in the description of this, so that you guys can check this out. I don't want to have to watch it all over again. I watched it last night, and I've been watching clips today, and it is so cringe that I'm glad you're sitting down. So if you're not sitting down, you should probably sit down and just put your cringe filter on. The Celeste first is going to have a woman on the show, and the set is just like straight out of a 1970s dentist office. It's really bad. I guess it's what they had. It's a public broadcast, probably down in LA somewhere. And she has this very soft-spoken, very sweet woman named Maxine. And there's a beautiful, beautiful dog sitting at the feet of Celeste. And when I first watched this, I thought that that was Maxine's dog, but it's not. It's not Maxine's dog. She's going to give this woman a psychic reading. Now, it's every Barnum statement. If you want a definition of what a Barnum statement is, something that's so general that it fits many, many people, this is a great example of Barnum statements. So, anyway, I'm going to put the clip right here so that you guys can look at this. And I want to hear your comments. Make sure you put your comments underneath.
Now, as with every show, I have a volunteer with me tonight for a psychic reading. And this is Maxine. Hi, Maxine. Thank you very much for being with us. Since we've been sitting here just before the show began, I have been picking up some feelings from you of a lot of change going on in the home. Are you going through a lot of almost decoration or reconstruction of the house? Are you making a lot of changes in the home? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a move, but there are a lot of changes going on.
Right.
Yeah, and there's also been a bit of stress connected with this, and I see this stress kind of lightening up, almost as if the dark cloud is passing and there's the sun is beginning to come out. Has there been some stress related to some of the moving and the different changes going on?
Yes, there has.
Okay. I think you're in for the next 3 months are going to be so very positive for you because, as I say, that I get the feeling that the clouds are kind of passing away and the sun is beginning to shine. And even though we're moving into winter, for you it's going to be a very bright and warm time. I get a lot of closeness with family and friends right now that may have been alienated for a little while, and I see lots of people around you. So you must have a lot of support from family and friends. Do you have a large family? Are there a lot of people around you all the time?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, and I'm also picking up some new interest I don't know that it's work-wise, but maybe hobbies or special talents that you have that maybe have been dormant for a while. Are you about ready to get back into some things
I'd like
creatively? Yeah, I get a very strong creative sense from you that you have some strong creative talents. Are you involved in writing or communication of some kind?
I haven't been recently, but it would be nice to get back to something like that.
Uh-huh. Do you do any writing? Have you done some writing in the past?
Not very much.
Yeah, that might be something that you want to explore because I get a wonderful imagination, you know, that you are able to develop things, especially on paper. You probably used to write a journal or something at one time because it helped you express yourself or figure things out. Another thing that I'm getting from you is that when you are stressed, you tend to kind of, you're a little bit of a loner. You tend to go off on your own to work things through. And that may be part of the alienation feeling that I've been getting from family and friends. Now that that stress is beginning to lighten, you're feeling more social. And there may be other social plans coming up in the near future where you're looking forward to entertaining maybe for the first time in some time.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Do you have any vacation plans over the next 6 months?
I haven't planned anything just yet.
It very well may be. I am getting a trip by. It'll be a distance, and so I'm getting by air. It may be to a different state before February, but I do get some kind of an enjoyment. This won't be for business. This will be for pleasure. Maybe to see someone you haven't seen for a long time, or it's possible someone's coming in that you haven't seen for a long time, and be prepared for that because I do think that that's going to be in the makings for you.
That's funny you should say that. My brother just came from Texas to see me.
Oh, he did? Oh, great. Okay, and is he going to be staying with you for a little while?
No, I just saw him for a few days ago.
Okay.
Okay. So Diligence cringe. What do you think? So I guarantee that Maxine walked out of that reading and said it was fabulous. She was so accurate. And now she has so much information. And that, you know, it was a legit psychic reading. And Celeste is probably going, wow, I nailed it. All of us watching this, 30 years later are going, oh, what do we just see? So this is when you're a motivated sitter. This isn't probably anybody who's in grief or anything of the sort. But when you are on the spot and you don't want to disappoint, you're going to agree to whatever. And she just seems so sweet and trusting that I think she could have said anything and the woman would have said, yeah, that's right. Oh, very good. But then again, the statements that Celeste is making to her are so general. It's incredible. Nothing specific, of course, very general. You know, you're going to have people come over. People are around you. When you're upset, you like to think about it and kind of not be around people for a while. There's things happening in the house. Things are being moved around, renovations of some sort. You're going to travel, probably on a plane. No mention of where or when or anything, or about her brother visiting. The way that she says, oh, it's funny you should mention that. My brother was just here. She just didn't know. I mean, this is really, really bad cold reading, but it's a Barnum statement, but it passes off because if you believe it and the person has a microphone and a TV set and is sitting here with their 1970 dentist chairs, you're going to believe it because why not? And even if Maxine had felt like that was really general and that could have applied to almost anybody who was listening to this reading, she's not going to say anything. She's just going to go with it. Okay. Here's the best part. I know we got through that cringy thing. Here is Mark Edwards. This is the man I loved for 15 years. And he Mark never told me about this video. I'm sure he forgot about it or didn't want to admit it to me. So for years, Mark was a mentalist, which is a branch of magic that pretends to be psychic, and they do psychic stuff like Ouija boards and chalk boards and sleight of hand. And Mark did Victorian seance with objects floating around and being tied into the chair and all slates. That's what it was called, slates, where they write on these old chalkboards. It's magic. Well, it are magic effects. You can learn it. It's not magic. It's a trick. Anyway, it's a form of magic. It is a branch of magic. So Mark goes onto this TV show or whatever this is. And I put underneath him animal psychic. And Mark looks really good. He's a cutie. Oh my gosh. He must have been 30 something, 40 at this point. And I think he still looks great. He looked great all the way. I always thought he was a handsome man, but I would not have dated a man who was fooling people like that. But I don't know what's going through Mark's head at this point, but I can guess. He was one of the fellows of the Skeptic Society, Michael Shermer's group down in Los Angeles. So he was definitely a skeptic. And when I met him, he had already had years of debunking this stuff, explaining what's going on. Once I met him in 2009, we worked to get the book Psychic Blues printed, and we got it printed with a foreword of James Randi, and it exposes a lot of this kind of stuff. But he never mentioned this show. Now, why Mark is on this show and he is doing the psychic act, I don't know. I think that Mark wanted to see if he can get away with it. That's what I think is going on. I think it was part of his persona. He was performing at the Magic Castle at this time. He mentions it in this little clip. And he believed that he wasn't really harming anybody. I think that's what he really thought. And he used a lot of this information that he's getting from pretending to be in this world as a psychic medium to be able to write the book Psychic Blues. So he, years later from this, explains what's going on. Now, Mark was an animal trainer. He really was. He got out of the business. He was into birds and dogs, but he got out of the business because he felt there was a lot of violence going on towards these animals that you see perform. And, they're just not just getting up there and doing these things. There's a lot of bad things going on, according to Mark, in the industry. I don't know if it still was going on, but what Mark saw, he's a very, very pacifist, anti-violence kind of person, would never raise a hand to anybody. And he just couldn't put up with it. So he got out of the business, but he absolutely adored animals, especially border collies. That was his thing. And he loved birds. So enter Mark Edward. Oh my gosh, you guys. Could make a drinking game out of this, I'm sure.
Fusion here with the animals, so we have no idea what's going to happen, but that's live TV, and here we go. Mark, I've written down some questions with all this confusion so that I at least cover everything I wanted to ask you. Now, I know as a psychic, both of us get asked this a lot, but it is something that everybody really wants to know. When did you first realize that you had the psychic gift and that you were getting these different emotions?
Well, I think I always had something going on, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. I don't think it was especially acknowledged by my parents or relatives. I think they were a little put off by it. So it was something that I channeled into a lot of different areas, art and music and things like that. And then it was basically a communication thing. And then after a while, I realized that I could read people's thoughts or predict things, and I accepted it, and the people around me started to accept it too. So it was a little scary for most people in the beginning, including me. But once I realized that I could help people with it, that it was a gift, then it became easier to handle.
Yeah. Do you think that everybody has a certain psychic gift?
Sure. I think we all have it. Most people don't give it much significance. Some people decide to develop it by listening to it. To me, being psychic just really means paying attention.
Right, right.
So, you know.
There are a lot of different avenues of showing the different psychic gifts, like tarot cards and palmistry and clairvoyance. Is there anyone that really comes through strongest for you, or?
Well, my label that they have given me is intuitive clairvoyance, which means it's kind of hard to describe, but it's like I push myself forward into the future, take a look around at what I see happening, and then try to verbalize it. So it's not fortune telling like with tarot cards, because I'm not really telling a fortune. It's more like I'm remembering what I saw. So it's a visual thing, and it kind of happens really fast. It's like a back to the future sort of an idea.
Yeah.
So it's hard to grasp for people who don't understand it, but it is very visual, because that's my background in art and that sort of thing. So when I see something, I just believe it, and it usually comes true. So
yeah.
You notice that Mark is downplaying the fact that he's a magician and a mentalist. He has a degree in performance art, which is, magic is performance, right? So he's downplaying all that. He's trying to play this level like, well, I'm not really saying I'm psychic. I'm saying that I'm just a good listener. I'm just intuitive to listening. He's trying because he doesn't want to lie so blatantly, but we know what he's doing. Come on, Mark, give me a break. He is very cute, isn't he? But I don't like how he always tried to do his hair like that. He always said, got to put his hair up like that. I don't know why he always did that, but he sure liked his hair like that. Anyway, so he's trying to thread the line here about being psychic, but I'm not really psychic. I'm just paying good attention, and anybody could do this. That's not what the viewers are seeing. So if Mark was here, I'd be having words with him. Well, not now. This is 30 years ago, and he atoned for it by doing tons of stuff to make sure everybody knew that this was nonsense. Oh, and the dog, that beautiful dog, belongs to the woman Celeste. And the other guy who's sitting there has a cockatoo on his thing, and that's who he's going to talk to. He's going to talk to the cockatoo, I guess.
Have you always loved animals? Is that?
Oh yeah, animals have always been a big part of my life, and I've always been interested in communication with animals on other than a verbal level. They seem to understand things. There's all those stories about when you a loved one is on their way driving home, and all of a sudden they're 10 miles away, but the dog starts to whine and paw at the door. How could they know that? Do they hear it? Do they sense it? So initially things like that started to really interest me.
Yeah.
And then when I became an animal trainer, the linkage just was so strong with the animals that I worked with that I knew that was what I wanted to do. So that's what I've been working with.
That's great. So you said, that's a good girl. Yes, you're a good puppy. I know that you have private consultations with people. Do you also make appointments for animals?
Sure.
Really?
Why not? I mean, in fact, that's what I would prefer to do, as silly as it sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather, it's like some famous poet said, the more I'm around animals, the less I like people. So it's like, it's not that I'm a hermit, but I love animals, and they have a lot to say if people will listen. Really, that's the way I feel. When
you were working, training animals in motion pictures, was that when you really discovered that telepathic link?
Well, I think what it was is I just became dissatisfied with animal trainers. Yeah. Because trying to teach certain behaviors to animals can be very frustrating for the animal, and I didn't like that part of it, so I got out of that area, because I like just affection training, which is a school where I originally learned, which is you don't use food. You just love the animal, and the animals respond much more to that.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward through this because he's talking about, working with animals and so on.
Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to
Let me show you a video quickly before we get into the reading of Mark Edward performing at the Magic Castle, almost the same time. This is from 1984 or so, and he's performing with his then wife. Her name is Rena, and his dog Jim, emperor of all dogs that he had trained. So I'll show you a brief clip of that being happening at the Magic Castle. Isn't that lovely? I'm so glad that I was able to find that recording. Hey, you guys go out there and get your digitize your stuff. There's so much sitting out in your closet. I know it, and I'm not even a psychic. I know this stuff is sitting at your house and it needs to be done so that people can enjoy it. I'll put a link to that so you can see the whole 21-minute show of him at the Magic Castle working with his wife at the time, and Jim, emperor of all dogs. All right, back to the reading.
psychic abilities with the animals. I've brought a friend with me. This is Kenny Carter, and he's brought his little friend with him. I appreciate you being here, Kenny. And Mark, I'm going to let you go right straight to work and tell us some impressions that you've been getting here.
Well, the first impression I get about, well, not Kenny, but the bird, it's like, the bird seems like there's a restlessness that I get. There's been a lot of moving around and a lot of things going on with the bird. And
well, she's not used to traveling. She's under,
yeah. So the first thing is that I think it's a very sweet bird. I mean, she's not biting anybody or upset. In fact, she's kind of hiding behind you, which is interesting. It shows that she's got a good nature. I don't think you're ever going to have a problem with her. She's young.
Young, yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on there in terms of, I think the bird will start to, I don't know, I'm getting kind of an impression that, there are certain, this bird bonds with you, but other people who are around you don't
Right.
really get along
Right.
with the bird or something like. Is that true?
That's true.
So that may be part of the restlessness, is that the bird seems like what the bird is named. I'm sorry.
Blossom.
Blossom. That's right. Blossom certainly has a lot of ability in terms of being affectionate, but she just has to be accepted by.
She's very selective of who she likes.
So do you have any questions in particular about what's going on with the bird? Or?
So I just think that she's in unfamiliar surroundings and
Right
and,
now.
Right.
But I'm talking about the bigger picture. It seems like she's around a lot of other birds all the time.
But she doesn't. She thinks she's a person. She
Yeah.
doesn't.
Okay, so
she
she
doesn't
doesn't-
like other birds
Okay.
at all.
Yeah, but I think that's going to change. I really do. I think
Maybe when she gets a little older.
yeah, when she gets a little older, I think that she's going to start picking up different behaviors from some of the other birds. So the other bird, you have other birds that talk, or they?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put the video in the description of this video that you're watching right now so you can watch the whole thing because it's quite interesting. He goes on in that vein. You notice how he uses his words or how he frames a question with a question at the end, but it sort of sounds like he's actually saying something. So she's quite a young bird, or so she's not around a lot of other birds, is she? Or that the way they say it, because if he had said no, she's quite an old bird, then Mark would say, oh, but she's young at heart and she believes that she's young and she's got a young, she's going to be alive a lot longer, and so therefore she's she's young as far as how long her lifespan will be. And if the bird dies tomorrow, nobody on the TV show will know. Nobody will know. So he's framing it as just very generic things, and he's watching the man. So the man's nodding, and you can see visual clues. When you've done thousands of readings, you can read a person's face pretty well. You can see the eye movements, you can see the twitches in the mouth, you can see frown lines and things like it. Or up here you can see lines as a person, or the eyebrows, they start to be concerned about something, or they get a little surprised, or all those kinds of things that happen when you've done a lot of reading. So Mark is being guided by the man's expressions, plus the man is giving all kinds of information. So as he's saying things to Mark, as Mark's making question statements, Barnum statements, do you have any questions the bird can answer? I mean, you want me to ask the bird? I'm going, what the heck? What are you going to ask a bird? So as he's asking and stating questions, the man is filling it in. Well, he's not around a lot of other birds, or he's quite nervous right now being around other people. Oh, Mark says, does he like? Not everybody likes the bird, and he's like, well, the bird doesn't like a lot of people and is not raised around other birds. He thinks he's human, and so on. So Mark is feeding this man question statements, and the man is just responding, and it's just gobbledygook. And Mark knows darn well what he's doing. I can almost hear him thinking, oh, please don't ask me like what the name of a pet was that used to live there that is gone, or please don't ask me your address, or please don't try to verify anything, because I am not going to be able to verify anything. I'd like to see how Mark got out of it, to be honest with you. Oh, well, the bird didn't call its partner bird by the same name. he used to call him Peanut. Or he likes the mirror that he's able to talk to, and he thinks of that other bird in the mirror as some other thing. Or he has a special place he likes to go to in the house and look out the window. I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do with a bird? Okay, so now we're going to move to the dog. This is a beautiful dog. I mean, it's a beautiful bird too. But look at Mark. I swear he's just like, I'm doing this to see if I can get away with it. I know, I'm sure that's what he was thinking. And he's not going to expose her. He wants the thing to air. If he exposes the woman, then this isn't going to air, even if it was recorded and it's live. I don't think so. I think it's recorded.
And let's see
Okay.
what you can get from her. Sonny.
Sonny,
come
are
on
you
over
awake?
here. Come say hello. Come on.
Come
Good
on over here.
girl.
Let's have a look here.
Yeah.
Hi, baby. Well, do you have any specific questions about Sonny's, I mean, well-behaved dog? I don't
She's
see
a
any
well.
problem.
She's a terrific dog, and we have a very special bond between the two of us.
Mhm.
I'm more curious in just what you're picking up. What?
Well, a couple of things come to my mind about the dog. She's very sweet. She seems like there's almost like two sort of personalities that are inside this dog.
Oh wow, it's really interesting that you say that, because I've had that feeling for a long time.
But it wasn't always that way. I think that Sunny was kind of on her own, and then something kind of just sort of came into the picture that influenced her in some way. It wasn't a human. It wasn't you. It was possibly.
That's right.
Possibly another.
That's right. This is going to put me out on a limb, but you're right. When she was about 6 months old, she had a grand mal seizure.
Mm-hmm.
And I took her to the vet because, I thought maybe she might be epileptic. They couldn't find any reason for that seizure. Now, I got her shortly after I had had to have another dog of mine put to sleep because she was very sick, and I was very bonded to that other dog. The first 6 months that I had her, she was a devil. I mean, puppies are always devils, but she was really a devil, and we were having a little bit of a hard time getting along. And suddenly, she had this seizure this one night. We couldn't find any reason for the seizure, and from that point on, all of a sudden, her personality changed, and she started to take on the aspects of the dog that I'd had before.
Wow.
I mean, weird things like when I would, take her for walks, take my other dog for walks, she always liked to get behind me and stick her nose between my knees, and she would walk with me down the street that way, and all of a sudden this dog started doing that.
Wow.
I mean, these really bizarre things.
Well, maybe the spirit of the other dog. I mean, I'm not saying such things are real, but I certainly would not say they haven't happened before. Maybe the love, the energy that you had for the other dog transferred over, the spirit transferred into this dog in some way, which is kind of a scary concept on some levels, but I think that it's not impossible that the traits came through and that you're experiencing. This dog has some of the energy from the other dog, maybe just because of the surroundings, or there's a lot of different reasons for it. Some of them paranormal, some of them normal. It's hard to tell.
I agree with you. Yeah, that it is. You can't ever say anything for sure, but it's really interesting that you picked that up, because it's something I've sort of had as a secret in the closet for a while.
With humans, it can be the same thing. A lot of times when people experience psychic awareness, it comes from some sort of shock to their body, like they have a near-death experience.
So, did Mark pick up on that, or did she tell him that? Interesting that you should pick that up. So again, I'll leave the rest of this in the show description so that you can look at this whole thing, all 25 minutes of it, 27 minutes. I think it's fascinating. And Mark knows darn well what he's doing. You see how he's trying to skirt the lines and how he's just agreeing. As she just keeps talking about what's going on, how the dog had a grand mal seizure, and how there was another dog, and how, and on and on and on. And Mark is thinking internally, please don't ask me the other dog's name. Because I don't know the dog's name. And I would have to make up some kind of out. So anyway, I find this fascinating, and I'm so glad that I found these old videos and got them. I had to go get an old VCR and then had to buy the gadget to transfer it. Oh, it's such a process, you guys. But whenever you do this and you find these old movies and even photos and DVDs and microcassettes and so on, it's such a joy. It's like they're able to live again in a lot of ways. And we have a way of respecting and remembering these people. And I think this is just a wonderful way of spending your time, not going to see a psychic. So I hope you appreciate it. I hope you like this. Please leave me your comments, what you thought. As I said, I'll leave a link to the 2 videos that I have shared. And so you guys can enjoy and see the rest of the interview, as well as the magic act at the Magic Castle. Thanks, everyone.